Hello, my little Luxes. This is Charcy Lux, and welcome to the little channel of horrors again. And with me is my partner in crime.
Oh, here's to swimming with bow-legged women. I'm Quint. It's DC.
He actually cosplayed with me, and you know what? We can actually tease him and call him a closet cosplayer now with me, considering you said you owned that jacket.
I had to do something because I wanted to do something special for you because it's almost been a year since we met, so it's like got to do something special. You're always there for me. You're always, and I love you very much. So
love you too, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. Weirdly enough, it is almost a year because I created Charcy, I think, in August.
Mm-hmm. It's getting close. So,
but yeah, we'll do a celebration when we actually hit that year. So
yeah. Oh man, I forgot to ask you a question before I'll ask it after we get done. It's about like an episode of the show. Good.
We'll save that for
I'll make a reminder. Remind me after this is over to ask you.
I have to be the reminder? That's not fair.
I'm stupid. I've had 14 concussions.
Okay, I'll accept that answer.
Yeah.
So obviously, adult content only. We do swear in this. So if you were a kid, please kindly leave our channel. If you are a part of the horror fam, welcome. And today we are talking about my third favorite horror movie, which is Jaws. And of course, there's probably a huge relevant reason why it is one of my favorites. I mean, grew up with this movie, watching this one with my dad. It's one of the few horror movies that my mom would actually watch, which DCU and I kind of hinted before, where some people don't view this one as a horror movie, but back in 1975 when this first came out in the theaters, oh yeah, this was considered a monster movie and a horror movie.
I would argue it's a slasher because it's one antagonist taking out people taking out a group of people one by one. I would argue it's a slasher. Whatever though, man. It's according to IMDb, it is an action adventure thriller. It is not a horror movie, but a lot of people consider it a horror movie. So I do. Which
we'll get into it even more for. But Jaws, obviously, like I said, was created in 1974, which DC, you would mention that you can talk about it because 1975 was the movie, and 1974 was when Jaws the book was a bestseller. So that's how Jaws kind of got the idea that they were going to become a screenplay and make it into a movie.
Yes.
Which you have more knowledge on the book than I do.
I have read the book, and the book is vastly different from the movie. Peter Benchley wrote the book, and I'll just go ahead and get all of it out of the way. The biggest, hugest difference is Hooper is a piece of fucking shit in the book. He cheats. He has an affair with Brody's wife because Hooper and Brody's wife knew each other in high school. And he sets up the dinner they have in the movie when they're talking about just cutting open the shark. He actually sets up that dinner to get her to go to a hotel with him, and they have an affair in the hotel. And the other big difference is the ending is completely different. Hooper dies. He actually gets eaten. And this is where I'm going to be a little weird. I actually prefer the ending of the book. The ending of the book has everyone's character arc go full circle. Hooper dies because he's a piece of crap. He becomes Chum. He goes into the cage goes in the water, shark's in the water. Our shark actually breaks through the cage and eats him. And cool. So he dies because he's a piece of crap. Then Quint dies. So Quint doesn't even die before. He's the last person to die. He is throwing harpoons into the shark, and one of the harpoon ropes gets wrapped around his ankle, and the shark dies, and the shark sinks to the bottom, carrying Quint with him. So Quint dies attached to the shark that he chased. So that's his circle. And the ending of the book is Brody floating in the ocean all alone, facing his fear of being in the ocean alone. the end of the book. We don't know if he survives. He's just floating in the ocean alone. So very cool.
I prefer the movie.
Yeah, my thing is like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. Like you can shoot a canister like that, it would not blow up. I'm sorry, it wouldn't. But whatever.
Movie magic. That's
Yeah,
what
it's
it's
movie
for.
magic. But
we have to have movie magic.
Also, this is not one of my favorite movies. Like the first hour of it bores the ever loving hell out of me. But then when they get on the boat with Quint and everybody, then the movie takes off and I love it. So if you had an hour and a half of just them on the boat, would have been a spectacular movie. That's just my opinion. I'm one of the very few people that is kind of like meh on Jaws. It's a cool movie, but it's like it's a little boring. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's a classic. No matter how you cut it, if I like it or not, it's a classic. So.
It's my classic.
Yes, and Spielberg's the man. So love Spielberg. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I am way more thrilled with the character arc that they went through because I'm going to eventually ask you your favorite, but my favorite character in the film
my favorite
is Hooper. Okay, so that's why Quint. So Quint is your favorite.
Yes. Here lies the body of Mary Lee, died at the age of 103. For 15 years, she kept her virginity. Not a bad record for this vicinity. Such an ass. I love it. I love him so much.
Which is kind of ironic because it's like Robert Shaw, who was Quint, and then you had Richard Dreyfuss, who was Hooper, actually had a real life feud.
Yes.
So their constant bickering and negative chemistry that they had on film actually was real. And they literally were able to use that Steven Spielberg would even come up with these things on a whim, like the scene where Quint downs a beer and then crushes it. Steven Spielberg's like, Dreyfuss, take your coffee cup and mimic everything he does and then crush that styrofoam cup. And it just was one of those funny moments that it was just kind of on a whim. But a lot of things in the screenplay was kind of just winged and was written like every night before the next scene was going to happen. You would have Steven Spielberg and not Peter Benchley, because they brought in his friend Carl Gottlieb.
Yeah.
And they would sit down together and they would put together the script each day for the thing. So, I mean, it was definitely unheard of back then to be creating anything like this. So
Robert Shaw actually had a feud with a lot of people. he
That's true.
didn't get along with Sean Connery when he was in I think From Russia with Love. I think that was one he was in, but he did not get along with a lot of people. He was very standoffish. But you know, it is what it is. But it's but like when they had everyone that the famous Indianapolis speech that went through 3 different things. It was like it was written and then it was rewritten and then it was rewritten and then Robert Shaw did it and he ad-libbed some of it. So that like I have the original script in there in my room of the Indianapolis speech, and it is 2 pages long. It's huge. And it's not what's in the movie. It's close, but it's not what's in the movie. And I mean that Robert Shaw, they actually had to shoot it twice because Robert Shaw was drunk the first time. He was
drunk, pissed drunk,
so bad that the next day he apologized to Steven Spielberg and said, "Can we please shoot it again?" And
at 3 a.m, he called Spielberg, and he's like, "How bad was I?" He goes,
So can we please shoot it again? And they did, and you get what is arguably the greatest moment in the movie, I think. When he gives the Indianapolis speech, to me, that is the greatest moment in the movie, because it's that and his speech, I'll find him for 3,000, but I'll kill him for 10. You know, that was a great speech too. So the 2 speeches he gives are the 2 greatest moments in the movie to me. And it's just Robert Shaw being Robert Shaw. If you can't tell, I'm a massive fan of Robert Shaw. Like Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 is one of my absolute favorite movies, and he is a killer in that movie, and I love it. I love Robert Shaw.
I think a lot of people said that he was probably the only villain in the Bond movies that when you would for Sean Connery, I should say, for the Sean Connery Bonds, that he was the only rival that actually seemed like a rival that could go head to head with Sean Connery because of the presence that Sean Connery had.
Yeah, and Sean Connery was, I think, 5 inches taller than Robert Shaw. So when Robert Shaw was in scenes with Sean Connery in that movie, he actually had to stand on a platform. That way, it made him look intimidating. So, because Robert Shaw was not a tall man, so he's a very short man. And I was wanting to do my mustache like his, but my fiance would have. And because I look like it may be a trigger word and all that bull crap, but I look like a pedophile when I have a mustache.
No.
So I don't.
We don't want to use that word.
But it's no, I don't like having.
Call it the P word, the bad word.
Yeah, yeah, but I couldn't do it. My fiance was, and then I was like, well, I'll just shave it off after the show. She's like, no, you won't.
Baby face.
No, you're not going baby face either, because she will flat out tell me you are not good looking baby face. I'm sorry, honey. Like, you have to have facial hair. I'm like, oh, that hurts.
Babe.
Yeah, but then when
That's
I see
like
myself,
a knife.
oh, when I see myself baby face, I am horrible looking. Like, I have no chin. I don't know. I know people, none of these people who watch the show watch wrestling, but if you can imagine Ellsworth, if you remember who Ellsworth is, that I look like that dude. He is horrible looking.
Oh, like all neck. No
Yeah.
chin. Okay.
Yeah, he's just no. And I look, James Ellsworth, that's his name. But yeah, you won't be able to see it well, but that's him. I look like that dude. Yeah.
Oh, it just flipped pictures.
Yeah, it did. That's him and Paige, and Paige is my one of my crushes. Paige. But anyway.
Anyway. So
Nudity.
I actually know how because you had talked about the fact that Hooper's character technically dies. And technically, even in the screenplay, he was supposed to.
He was not supposed to appear.
A lot of people don't notice that at the same time that they were filming, well, I guess we can kind of loop around to it, because technically we should start at the beginning about the fact that when the film was originally picked, Spielberg wasn't even the original director to be for the film. He had read it, someone had wanted his advice on what he thought about it, and he loved it. And he said, if your director doesn't work for this film, he goes, please come get me. And this was a young, only 27-year-old Spielberg. Yeah. And I think he'd only done like he only had done like 1 or 2 films before them. And so he got the part because the original director couldn't decipher the difference between a shark and a whale. So in comes Spielberg.
So IQ was very low.
Something, I don't know. Which, thank goodness it happened, because then we got Spielberg. Well, he comes up with the idea that he didn't want to do this filming of a shark monster movie. He didn't want to do it in a tank. He didn't want to do it in a lake or a pond. He's like, why don't we actually do this on the Atlantic Ocean? Which creates the start of the nightmare that was the beginning of Jaws, because Jaws almost never even was.
Yeah.
So everything that we know about it.
Oh, Bruce didn't work.
Yeah, Bruce. He worked in freshwater, but as soon as old Bruce, which Bruce is the name of the mechanical shark that they created.
He's still
Bruce. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's even better.
He's in a filmmaking museum now. So they found him in a landfill, or no, not a landfill, in a scrapyard. Yes, they were looking for him for years, and they found him in a scrapyard, and now he's in the filmmaking museum. And the shark from Finding Nemo is named after him, Bruce. Fish are friends, not food.
That makes sense.
Fish are friends, not food. Yeah.
So, of course, then you have the idea of, well, where were we? I keep going on tangents now. This is what we do. So Spielberg, of course, he wants to film in an actual place. So, because it's Amity, I just watched this the other night, Amity Island, but it was on Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's not Amityville. It's Amity Island. It's Amity Island. Amity.
Let's make Amityville.
Amityville is another horror movie. Amity Island. I have the board game, and it has a big Amity Island poster in it. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
But
it's
Amity.
Martha's vineyard in real
Yes.
life, though.
Yeah, but amity is I forget what language it is, but it's the word for friend. So it's Friend Island, and just like it's Friendsville that Amityville takes place in, but amity is a foreign word for friend. So I don't know.
Apparently, horror movies like taking that friendly word and making it ominous or something.
Jaws, it just popped in my head. Jaws is his third movie. He did, unless you count Amblin, but that was a short film. His first movie, of course, was Duel, which was a masterpiece. And then he did the Sugarland Express. But after he did Jaws, after he did Jaws, he knocked it out of the park with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So this was his breakout film. So yeah.
And obviously it's because of this film actually being a success once it went to the theaters. Because, I mean, they just had problems after problems after problems. And so the fact that they wanted to do on-site instead of in fresh water, and that Bruce was a problem because as soon as it hit salt water, this mechanical shark did not want to work, which for obvious reasons. Well, then they came up with this whole idea that they were going to come up with, instead of it being the mechanical parts, it actually became like an air pulley system or something like that, where they were using like shooting air into it to get it to be to where the mechanical parts would move. But even that would flub up. So that's when the script changed, because it also in the book, and I think in the original screenplay, you would actually see the shark. So that opening scene with Chrissy when she dies, you literally are supposed to see the shark.
Yeah, supposed to see the shark a lot in that movie. Robot Chicken did a great skit on it, where it was, come see Steven Spielberg's real vision of Jaws, and Jaws would like walk up on the beach with a gun and just start laying waste to people. It's like, yes, so good. But yeah,
the parody we all want.
Yeah, and there was supposed to be more death, but it actually worked out, because the reason why Quint is named Quint is because he is the fifth person to die. Quintuplet 5. It was the girl at the beginning, the boy on the raft, the guy on the boat, and there was the freaking other death with when the second time the shark goes into the pond. The guy that falls off the boat, he's he gets, that's 4, and then Quint is the fifth person to die. He's also the last person to die. So he is named Quint because 5. Very cool.
And that's where they kind of came up. Well, technically,
yeah.
Hooper was supposed to die, but Hooper would have died after Quint, so I guess that wouldn't have worked.
They added in the book, he's still the 5th person to die, but Hooper is the 4th person to die. I forget which death doesn't. I think it's the first death, the Cassie or whatever her name is. I don't think she dies in the book. Chrissy. I don't think she dies in the book. It starts with.
Really? The first one isn't the death?
I can't remember which one. It's been so long since I read that book, but there is only 5 deaths in the book too. So yeah, but we wanted more death, and it's like, it was already like Quint's death alone is, even Michaela was like, that's really violent for a PG movie. I'm like, it's ungodly violent. I'm like, and the severed legs and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure if they would re-rate that film today, it would at least be a PG-13.
At least be up there. I wonder how they did their ratings back then, but
there was no PG-13.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that it was either PG or R.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I don't even think G was around yet. PG-13 didn't even come in until the 80s or maybe the 90s or something like that. Something I don't remember.
Which was getting close to that time.
Yeah, but it was, there was no PG-13. So, but this would definitely be a PG-13 movie. It's a classic. So.
Yeah. But the way that, especially for Spielberg, like on the spot to come up with ideas where he's like, okay, so this shark's not going to work. We need to come up with other ideas. Well, they ended up, let's see, because Chrissy was the actress Susan Backlini.
Yeah.
But she actually technically wasn't an actress. They just wanted to hire someone who would be athletic, who could swim. And of course, you have her. She was a stunt double. But the other requirement was someone willing to be in the nude.
Yes. So and in 4K, you can see everything.
her. Yeah, I bet you can.
I watched it in 4K last night, and then when the camera comes up, I'm like, holy crap, you can see her vagina. Like, this is crazy.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm like,
So-
woo, some hoo-hoo, all right. Let's get in fun times. And you can like see the nipples and everything. I'm like, this is PG. But Planet of the Apes was rated G, and you see peen in that movie. You see dong. You see Charlton Heston's dong swinging. So, I mean, I don't think they cared so much about it.
Funny you say Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston, my boy.
He was actually one of the actors he kept trying to push to be Brody.
Yes.
But Steven Spielberg's like, I don't want a big name. And he goes, I definitely don't want Heston, because if he comes on screen, the shark is already lost.
Yeah. Heston would not have been able to be Brody. And I'm a huge Heston fan, but he's too big for that. He's too big of a personality. Brody needs to be a soft-spoken. That's another difference in the book. Brody is not from New York in the book. He's actually born and raised on Amity Island, so he's a local in the book. But he needs to be a soft-spoken, just kind of laid back kind of guy. And with Charlton Heston, it would have been just as soon as like 4 people come to him, hey, I need you for this, he would have been like, damn you all to hell. It was been crazy. He's nuts. And I love Charlton Heston, but the roles he plays are perfect for him. And this would not have been it. He may have been able to pull off Quint, maybe, but I would rather have Robert Shaw.
But yeah, I thought that was funny when you brought him up, and I'm like, hey, funny thing. But I'm glad Steven Spielberg went with the idea, because I mean, we have the perfect Brody, which I'm back to. See, I keep going on tangents again. So the scene with Chrissy, so of course you don't have a shark that's pulling her down. That scene where you see this poor woman being sloshed around, very dangerous for what they decided to do. But they had her roped with cables, and on each side of her was 2 different teams, and they literally were playing tug of war with her and jerking her around. And she flat out even said, she's like, in like the behind the scenes in that, where she's like, I could have literally been injured, or if my back had gotten hurt, she goes, I could have been screaming a real pain. But she's like, nobody would have known until after the fact, and it would have been too late. So thank God she didn't get hurt. But I mean, it's an amazing scene. And, you know, the fact
they never showed her body. But they actually had to cut down on the way that Hooper was describing the death, because he was describing it in such detail that it was just disgusting. So they had to cut it down by making him speak medical jargon. And it was just like, you know, he couldn't say her leg has been severed at the knee. He would have to be like, her upper metatarsal has been torn. And it's like they had to change it because it was just so horrifying. And I mean, it's bad. Like, I went to medical school, so it's like everything he's saying, I'm like, oh, it's like, it's disgusting.
But not everybody knows medical lingo, so
it's okay though. It was like they kind of show her, and you know it's bad when the deputy finds her and he's just like blowing the whistle, and he stops and sits down and just wipes his mouth, because that's before someone pukes, your mouth fills with saliva. It's to protect you from the bile and the acid coming up from this is medical stuff coming up from your stomach. And so when he sits down and wipes his mouth, he's wiping the drool. He's wiping because he's about to throw up.
Yeah, in the process of wanting to throw up.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, and Hooper almost throws up when he sees it. He stops and he has to take a sip of water, and it's like, yeah, and good acting.
I don't know if I'd take a sip of water though if I was about to throw up.
Dreyfuss, man, Dreyfuss. That's an actor right there.
And Dreyfuss was Spielberg's pick, no matter what. And Dreyfuss actually turned this role down twice.
Oh, Dreyfuss is very selective in what he does. So, but he's super awesome. I mean, if I was him, I personally wouldn't have done the remake of the Poseidon Adventure. But I mean, that's me. That was a good movie. It was just like his role was not very Dreyfuss.
No.
Oh well.
They didn't do a good fit for him and what he could have done. But yeah. But obviously, like I said, Hooper's my favorite character, and why Hooper's character ended up being able to survive in this one was the fact that offshore in in Australia, they were actually having people film real great white sharks so that they could use that for their footage. Well, the only size that they could find, because obviously Jaws is supposed to be a 25-footer, they could find like 15 feet, 16 feet, which isn't big enough. So they made a joke where they're like, well, why don't we do the Hooper scenes, but why don't you find a little person and just get a smaller cage, smaller everything, and then the shark will look bigger.
Yeah.
Well, so they had the scene. Well, the poor guy, when they put him in the cage for the first day and you have these sharks come at him, he's in a tiny cage, so it's very flimsy. So that first scene that you have where Hooper's in his cage, it's actually this little guy, and the poor guy has a heart attack because this shark is, going at his cage. So the scene that's the most famous that we all know is the scene where the shark is on top of the cage and he's rolling around and this and that. Well, when the film, they got it in that and they're like, we got this most amazing film. We got this shark doing that. And they're like, well, do you have Hooper in the cage? And I'm like, well, no, this was the day that we didn't have the guy in the cage because of the accident that happened. And they're like, well, we can't use it. The screenwriters decided to say, what if Hooper escaped and that's why the cage is empty? So Hooper's character lives.
Yeah, he gets out.
Which obviously I
behind a rock. Yeah, he gets out and he hides behind a rock. It's like, all right. And then he has Brody kill the shark, and then he comes out of the water like, oh, is it over? All right. Okay. It's just like, yeah, thanks for the help.
Like he knew it was alive.
Thanks for the help. You're real awesome. And then he's just like, where's Quint? He's like, no. And like when Brody says he's dead, but it's one of the things that I don't like about the movie is when he's just like, no. And you're like, why are you smiling, dude? He's dead. And Quint's like, okay. And he's just, I mean, not Quint, but Hooper's just like, okay.
Hooper.
Like, I don't care. Like,
I see Brody, I didn't think he was smiling. Like I thought it was just that really awkward, like, no,
he was in
he
shock.
didn't make it.
He was in shock. That's what was really happening. But the only real like problem I have with the movie was what it did to sharks. Like it made people not have a respectful fear of them, but a actual fear. And a lot of sharks were killed because of this movie. Like they were like, oh, all sharks are dangerous, and there's really not sharks do not attack humans. That is, it happens, but they don't seek out to attack humans. And this movie made it seem like they do. And people will watch a movie, especially a blockbuster, and be like, oh, that's what happens. That is definitely what happens. Sharks will attack humans. We should kill them all. And it actually happened. There were a lot of shark murders. So it's like, I'm a huge animal lover. So it's like, that's the only problem I had with the movie. And I do not blame the movie for that. I blame
humanity with their
I blame us for being stupid. But no, I do not blame Spielberg, because Spielberg, no matter what, is still one of my favorite directors. So I don't care. But it's just like it did cause some animal rights problems. But other than that, like it was like, I don't know, I liked it. I like the way they did shock was very good. The Brody's son going into shock, that would happen.
Yes.
You would be completely,
that's exactly how a child would be.
Yeah, you would be completely paralyzed. And the fact that he has just killed the shark and he's going to survive, he would be like so elated that even the death of a friend wouldn't even be able to faze him. He would just be like, yeah he's dead. Oh wait, he's dead. No, that sucks. Yeah. And then they're cutting up on the way back, like like when they're kicking their feet, it's like, hey, the tide's with us. He's like, yeah, just keep kicking. Like they keep, that's fine. Yeah. But he conquers his fear of water and makes it to the sea.
Well, maybe at that moment, but I'm pretty sure once he's out of that water, he's never going back in. So.
And he's I think he still has the fear in the sequel, because he was in Jaws 2 and his voice was in Jaws 3. So the one with
it isn't Jaws. Yeah, I forget about that.
Yeah, Jaws 3 was the one with Michael Caine.
Quaid? One of the Quaids?
Yeah. Well, and oh no, so which one was the one with Michael Caine? Was that the fourth one?
Maybe it was the third one.
I don't remember.
It's been so long since I've seen the third one.
2, 3, and 4 are not good. They are not good. Yeah, I'm like, no thanks.
They're up my alley.
Especially 3. Oh my God, that's a terrible film. But he's into for sure. I think it is 4 that Michael Caine's in, and his voice is in 4 when he calls his ex-wife, his then ex-wife.
Oh, they
get divorced in the 4, or they're on their way to divorce or something like that, because the wife is in the 4th one, and she's with Michael Caine now, and that's her love interest. So, and it has the grown-up son who does the cute little, like, where the child is, like, when the child is repeating,
mimicking the dad, yes. Which is another really cute scene in Jaws.
Yes. And it's repeated in Jaws 4, except it's Brody's son doing it with his daughter, and it's very cool. It's a very cool little scene. So I like
doing the same thing. Yeah. Dennis Quaid is the 3rd one. So let's see who is the 4th one.
No, man, that 3rd.
I kept thinking, I'm like, I think it's a baby Quaid. A baby Quaid.
Yeah, it's Dennis.
Because the revenge, I know that oh God, I can't think of. He's always Brody to me. Roy Schneider. But Roy Schneider had no interest in it, so they actually had his character die.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, Michael Caine's in the 4th one then.
Michael Caine. Hello, I'm Michael Caine. I love it. I love Michael Caine. It's not the size of the boat; it's what you do with it.
I was gonna say I love Michael Caine too, but then again, when you grow up with him as one of your main actors in your household. So.
He was supposed to be James Bond too. There was a point where he was supposed to be James Bond, but he turned it down, and he's just, oh my God, I would have loved to just hear one time, I'm Bond, James Bond. It's like, I would love that. God, I love Michael Caine. Like, dude, he was in a movie called Harry Brown that blew my mind.
Yes.
It's like so.
That was a good movie. Yes. That was a good movie.
But he's in Jaws. He's in Jaws 4, so it's like, it's very cool. I love it.
I've only seen Jaws 4 once. I've seen the 3rd one twice.
Yeah.
But
when Sharknado does a better movie than you, then you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Sharknado's better, just a little bit, because of what it does not hit the criteria. Jaws 3 is not corny on purpose. It's just a bad fucking film. Like, God, I think I've seen it twice. The first time I didn't even make it through it. I was just like, I can't watch. Whenever the shark comes through the glass, I was like, this is awful. I cannot.
Wasn't it supposed to be in 3D as well? And that's why it was so weird.
Yes, it was Jaws 3D.
Okay. Because I'm like, when you watch it and you're not watching it in 3D, it's like, why is this so weird?
Yeah, like Friday the 13th Part 3, when they have like the yo-yo coming down, and it's supposed to be, or the pitchfork to the eye, or the harpoon to the eye, and you see the string it's traveling on. And you're like, this is so stupid, but a fantastic film. Friday the 13th Part 3. That's 2 thumbs up. That's a great movie. Like that, because I swear that was meant to be bad. So whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Jaws.
We'll give them that.
Yeah, Jaws. Anyway. Harpoons. Back to Jaws.
So with Jaws, our life theme was going to be facing your fears, because of, like, with Brody, well, technically all of them had to face a different kind of fear of their own, except Quint just was one of those awesome badasses where it's like he came from such a horrible story where they're like, so why does he have such a revenge against sharks? Well, then you have poor Brody, where I don't think they ever hint on why he just doesn't like the ocean. He just has a fear of it.
It was in the book, they explain it. It's like it was a childhood trauma. They kind of touch on it in the movie when he's like, yeah, he has a fear of the ocean. What's that called? And he says drowning. And it's like
drowning.
It's because as a child he almost drowned. So it was like, I think he was like caught in a riptide or something like that, or a wave bowled him over or something. I don't remember exactly, but it is explained. And Quint has a fear of sharks. He does have a fear of sharks. That's why he chases them. He's doing it to kill his fear. And Hooper, I forget, he does have a fear in it too. I don't remember what it is. But it's something I hated the Hooper character in the book. I hated the Hooper character in the book. He was a pretty boy. He was highfalutin. He's a rich guy. And it was just like, no, yeah, I hated him. But then Richard Dreyfuss plays him in the movie. And I'm like, I love Richard Dreyfuss. He could have played the same exact role. And I probably would have been like, yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. So, I'm a huge fan. I love Richard Dreyfuss very much. But I love everybody in this one. I love Roy Schneider. He's a killer. I love that. I love that guy. But, I don't know. But fears. You have like a bunch of fears, and I have none.
Well, you technically said you had the one that you had before, so.
Well, I mean, okay, I have the one, but it's not really there anymore. Like I used to have a really bad fear of being alone, and I don't mean that. I mean that in both the sense of being alone physically and being alone emotionally. But throughout middle school and high school, no one understands this because everyone's like, oh, you're so funny and you're so charismatic. I was a fucking loser. Like I had zero friends. I had no friends, no girlfriends. I was alone constantly. I didn't have my first girlfriend until high school. That was Susan. Shout out to Susan. She's not watching. She lives right up the road now. She is like the coolest girl. She still is. We're still friends. She was awesome.
She's not watching.
She dated forever. We dated forever. She was so cool. But we dated for a while, and I would do whatever I could to get her to not break up with me because I did not want to go back to the way it was where I was alone. And we did eventually break up, but it was like, it caused two things, a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing was that, or the good thing was that, well, I guess it's a bad thing. Bad thing is that I was in a string of abusive relationships because I was very, very abused by women because I wouldn't care. I was like, I'm like, I will do whatever you want me to do. You can go cheat on me, do whatever you want, as long as you stay with me because I don't want to be alone. And it was like, it created that issue. But after they break up with me, I would have such extended periods of going without a girlfriend that I just got used to it. I just got used to it. And I'm like, you know what? Being single ain't so bad. And that created the other thing is that when someone does break up with me now, I'm so fucking flippant about it. Like, it seems like I don't care. And I'm just like, well, I'm breaking up with you. I'm just like, okay, whatever. And I was like, cool, but we're still gonna be friends, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go off and do my own thing. And it's just because I don't care to be alone anymore. It's like, if it would suck, but if Michaela broke up with me, I would just be like, all right, well, I'm back to being alone again. And it's just like, okay, so I get to play video games whenever I want now. And I still actually do that anyway, but it's bad because it has caused a lot of my relationships to fall apart because like I would have these girls that I really want to be friends with and they would break up with me and it would be like, okay, whatever. And I would basically show no emotion and it would just be like, yeah, okay, you're probably right. We probably should break up. Okay. And they would be like, you don't even care and stop talking to me. And it's like, that's not the way it is. It's just, I do care. I just don't show emotion because I've never been an emotional person and it's a problem. And I just don't care to be alone. Other than that, I don't have any fears. Like I don't fear spiders. I don't fear heights. I don't fear like, if I have a fear, I'll face it. Like I've always been that way. Like, you know, like you see me act like a complete ass on Twitter. It's just because, okay, cool. But I just no, there's no real fears going on. But you, before we did this, you told me like your fears, like you have a lot. I'm just like, oh no. But I want you to start with the blood one.
The blood one.
That's the one.
Just because it's it's funnier because of the fact that I am a horror nut and
Exactly.
watch horror movies all the time.
That's exactly why I want you to start with it.
Oh God, I developed it because of a trauma. So
is it a girl trauma?
A girl trauma? No, ew, no.
I know plenty of women who are scared of blood because of that. So
no, it has nothing to do with that. So the one he's talking about, which I think the term is actually like hemophobia or something like that. Yeah. And it's not necessarily like all blood in that. It has to do like, especially if it's like cuts and things on the arms and the hands. Sometimes a bloody nose will do it too. But I developed it and didn't know about it because back in high school, I had a friend. I don't know why I call her a friend because she obviously was a terrible person. But
you know a lot of those.
I do.
Especially
I came from,
just kind of
I came from a, yeah.
You kind of break up with and then just.
I came from a very hoity-toity town where everybody was rich and everybody had to be somebody type of bullshit, where even your girlfriends would like stab you in the back to be popular.
That's all girls.
And not me. Oh my God. I just wanted to be one of the guys half the time. It was so bad though, where no, not actually a guy though. But anyway, so her way of punishing me, like if she was upset with me or mad at me, I'm not even joking. She would literally take out a razor blade from her back pocket and she would literally just start slicing her arm. And of course, me being who I am, I was always trying to stop her. So it's like, you try stopping her. Well, me trying to stop her, she'd be like, well, I'm only going to cut deeper. And she would. So if I would attempt to stop her and go to her, she would take the razor and she would just start digging into her arm even worse. So it just developed that it's like, I would never piss her off. I could never do anything to hurt her feelings or anything. Yeah. So it was actually in my senior year for one of my classes for, I want to say it was one of my biology classes because we were doing the part where you.
Ironic.
Yeah, ironic. So it was advanced biology, probably. So the part of the class that we were doing was on cells and everything. So we were doing the part where the teacher was going to prick one of the students' fingers and he was trying to collect blood. And what he was going to do was he was going to put it into this machine that would spin and it was supposed to separate the platelets or something. Yeah.
Centrifuge.
And which I probably don't remember that entire class because all I remember was when the teacher got someone to volunteer, prick the guy's finger. I'm seeing the blood going down his finger, down his hand. And next thing I know, I'm looking up at the instructor and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. Why? He's like, you just fainted. And that's when I finally realized I'm like, I'm laying on the ground staring up at the instructor. I had actually fainted.
Yeah.
So it developed and stemmed from there. So I used to not have it.
When I was in medical school, we had to do the same thing. And it was like ours was not, we didn't put it in a centrifuge. We put it in a slide and we would find out what our blood type is. It's very easy to do. And we were pricking our fingers. I can't prick my finger because I don't produce blood. I take lithium, which kind of dries up the liquid in your system, and it makes it really hard to draw blood. So I couldn't prick my finger. The only way you can draw blood out of me is through a vein. And so I had to do the pricking. And it's like, all right. And I did it. And I did it to this girl. And I was like, this isn't going to hurt. I promise I can do this without it hurting. I'm very good at this. And my ex had to take her blood a lot. And I did it. And the girl next to her fainted. And she was like, oh, and like in her chair. And when she woke up, the professor was like, sweetheart, you need to leave. This profession is not for you. And like, she made her leave. It was nursing. And she was like, no, you're going to go and you're going to change your profession because you cannot be a nurse and faint at the sight of blood. And she's just like, but this is what I want to do. Well, then you need to conquer your fear of blood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, fainting at a finger prick, not abnormal.
Not.
Yes. Yeah. Scary, but not abnormal.
Mm-hmm. So mine, obviously, unfortunately, it was because of a trauma and that was the day that I realized, oh, I have a problem.
Mhm.
My other fear, which is tied to this one, which is exactly why I think Jaws is a horror movie, especially for me, is I have a fear of the ocean. Not necessarily the ocean, but everything in it. So
Yeah, no one has a fear of the ocean. They have a fear of the water or the things in the ocean.
The fear of drowning, of getting lost in the ocean, and obviously getting eaten by something. So.
I mean, it's a legitimate fear, but it's also like it's the same thing as the fear of flying. The chances of you dying in a plane crash are astronomical. The chances of you getting eaten by something in the ocean, astronomical. But it doesn't change the fact that it's a fear. Like it's a real fear that people have. And if people are like before when we were talking about it, I was teasing the hell out of you about it, like, oh, you're the biggest pussy I know, stuff like that. But in reality, hell no, dude. If we went to the beach together, I'd be like, I'll stay on the freaking shore with you. I don't care. Like, we're cool.
The difference is I will go into the ocean, but like I said, I'm a big baby about it the whole time. Like, eat.
Yeah. If some seaweed or kelp rubs up against you, you're like,
oh my God. Yeah, you better watch me running off into
I have to catch you and like carry you like we're married across the beach. And I'm like, God, where's your husband at? Where's Nate? I'm not carrying this girl. I'm just gonna throw her in the
he'd probably be up on the beach with me.
Jesus.
No, I honestly don't know if he's seen the ocean because he's been to the Bahamas. So yeah, he's seen the ocean. But
yeah, then he's definitely seen it. He's seen a better ocean than most of us. Yeah.
Those centipedes get scary though.
Centipedes? Wait, he's scared of centipedes, or you're scared of centipedes?
No. The Bahamas centipedes. They are more poisonous than a tarantula.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
They hurt you? They can bite though.
Oh, and they're poisonous. So yeah. Oh yeah, they can kill you.
They ain't gonna hurt you. Well, so is a brown.
They can kill you.
So is a brown.
What do you mean they're not gonna hurt you?
But they ain't gonna hurt you. Black widow. The chances of a black widow actually biting you, like I've had black widows crawling on my hand and nothing happened. I used to feed tarantulas that weren't defanged. Like, as long as you don't show fear, it's fine. Like it's like a snake. A snake, if you don't show fear, or if you don't show fear to a dog, it's cool. You know, it's cool. But
they can sense emotions.
Yeah.
But I ended up sharing my blood story, so it's like, I don't have to share one for my ocean story.
Yeah. You said you also had that fear of being alone too, and that's what like triggered mine. So it was like,
and that one's not as bad as my other ones. Like it was definitely, especially when I was a child, I couldn't be by myself, and then it became into more of the emotional one. But I
was about to say, so it's not emotional? Yeah, so it is emotional. Okay. Yeah.
But reasons for it, I mean, but it's not like a number one fear now. Like obviously, unfortunately, I still deal with the blood one, which I work through that one all the freaking time, where sometimes
that's actually a fear that is one of the absolute hardest to get rid of. Because blood is everywhere and blood is in you. And the weirdest part is most people who have a fear of blood do not have a fear of their own blood. So if you have a fear of your own blood too, then it's even harder to get rid of. Like I have a couple of friends who have a fear of their own blood, but not other people's blood. That's kind of the way Michaela is. Michaela, she has a fear of her own blood, but if I'm bleeding, she's fine. But if she's bleeding, it's completely different. So.
Yeah. Whereas me, it's both. And like I said, it's something that I work through all the time, because sometimes I'll get a cut and I can work through it and I'm fine. Or other times it's like, I think I'm fine. And then all of a sudden I realize I've passed out.
Michaela passed out once when I was putting an earring in her ear. She has a fear of pain, like a severe fear of pain. So if she thinks something's going to hurt, she'll pass out. And I was putting an earring in her ear. It was the first time we ever took it out. And I was replacing it with a different earring, and I just put the needle in, and she just went, just fainted right out. So while she was out, I put the earring in her ear, latched it, and then woke her up. And I was like, yeah, your earring's already in. So,
oh,
yeah.
I mean, at least, Got it done.
Yeah, I got it done. So, but no, like I don't know. It's just the fear thing. It never really. I mean, I used to have a severe fear of thunderstorms, like a really bad one. Like I used to call my mom to come back home, and this is when I was like 13 or 14. I wasn't a child. I was like, call
Still a
her at work. It
kid.
was like, call her at
Still a
work.
kid.
Mom, can you please come home? I'm freaking out here. And by the time she got there, of course, the storm would be over. So, but I got over that one because we had a tornado here one time, and I saw it. I saw the tornado, saw the funnel cloud form, and it became an obsession, like an extreme obsession. And then whenever it would storm, I'd make it a point to go out to my porch, and I would sit there while it was storming, watching the storm. And it was like, and eventually now I just love storms. So it's like I'll sit outside and listen to it rain and watch it lightning and stuff like that. So yeah, that was.
So who knew it was actually a funnel cloud that would break you of that fear?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm a weird guy when it comes to fear. Like I just think life's a little too short to be living in fear of everything. It's like that's why like I have friends that are like if I like when I was in college and I saw a girl I wanted to talk to, it was beeline right to her. And it's like, hey, what's up? You know? And it's like, dude, how do you do that? How do you just talk to random girls like that? Like, how do you build up the confidence? Like, start confidence. It's just no fear. Like, what are they going to do? Say no? Oh, too bad. Like, that's their loss, not mine. Like, I don't care. It's like, yeah, they're going to say no. The worst thing they can say is ew. And I'm like, ew. No, you're ew. Like, I just came up to you because you looked easy.
So you turn it around. So you turn it around. So, but I mean, there's no reason someone needs to ever be mean and be like you. Like, yeah.
You look. I think the worst thing I ever said, because she was like, "No, I like good-looking guys," and I was like, I was like, well, I mean, I don't think you're going to get a good-looking guy because I mean, when I look at you, I can tell there's something itchy in my future. That's like the worst thing I said. I'm like, I feel so bad. But at the same time,
I mean, there's no reason she should have said what she said. So
yeah, the best one was the absolute best thing. It wasn't the best thing I ever said, but the best thing that ever happened was the reason why I know how to cook. Everyone knows I know how to cook, and is because in high school, the girl I liked, the crush I had, was she shall remain nameless. She doesn't deserve to have her name spoken by these awesome, pretty lips. She said, I think I love guys that can cook, you know, and I was like, so I learned to cook, and I was like, hey, I know how to cook now, you know, I can cook for you. And she's like, I meant I like good looking guys that can cook. That's what she said to me. Broken heart. This was high school before everything. So I was like, okay. Years later, I run into her at like a flea market or something. She's like, oh, Darren, what's up? You know, and there's my name again. But she was like,
you said my hubby's name earlier too.
Yeah, we said your husband's name on the first episode. You said Nate.
Did we?
Yeah, you said Nate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, oopsie.
Yeah, no, the thing we avoided was his Twitter handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll avoid that. But like,
we could call him by his D&D name.
Oh yeah, I don't know what his D&D name.
Odemir.
Same thing.
Or Odie.
Oh,
no,
okay,
Odemir, Odie.
Yeah, okay, cool. But anyway, like I met her at a flea market. She was like, oh, you know, and I was like, you know, I really like girls that have tattoos to her. And then she was like, oh yeah, oh, I got this. She rolled up her sleeve. She had a big sleeve tattoo. I was like, oh no, I meant good looking girls that have tattoos. And I walked away.
So you got even. Oh, you got even. That's like the ultimate revenge right there.
I said that and then walked away with my hot girlfriend at the time. Like I think I was dating Laura, either Sarah or Lauren at that time. And they're both like smoking hot. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I like good looking girls with tattoos. It was Lauren because she had a tattoo. And I walked away with her and I was like, yeah, no. I don't play that shit. You don't do that shit with me in high school. I am the worst. Like I am so quick-witted that I will come up with something and it will cut you down to size. And I feel bad a lot of the times after I do it, but that's why I don't argue on Twitter, is because I will say something so mean that I will get just completely attacked. And so I avoid that stuff because I get mean when I get angry and I want revenge, but that's okay.
Most people are the same way though. I mean, I lash out when I'm angry, so.
But
I've learned to just pull away. It's like, I can't say what I want to say. I can't just spew things. So usually I have to step away and calm down.
It's not a good idea to just release anger in that way. So that's okay. But yeah, we're probably like over an hour now. So
I was gonna say we can wrap it up.
we probably should. It is my turn this time. Use the movie.
So which one are we doing? Which I think I remember which one you said.
You're gonna be my victim. Yes,
I like being a victim.
Yes, we're gonna. I don't have my mirror, so I can do this. I will. And on this next episode, I promise you, I will have a mirror if you remind me, and I will say Candyman 5 times into that mirror on camera.
We get to tell the story of how we met, or I should say, how we first started talking.
How the how
the Charcy DC episodes began.
It was interesting because shortly after that, we both found out that we both had significant others. Yeah, because there was some serious crush action going on, from my end at least. But it was like, I was like, dang it, she's married. Dang it, I'm married. But it was,
You forgot. Oh, wow.
Yes, Candyman. Tony Todd, I'm a huge, I have an obsession with Tony Todd. I
love him. Yes. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that I don't like him in. So
I am a huge Star Trek fan, and I was introduced into Star Trek through The Next Generation. I didn't see the original Star Trek till much later, but The Next Generation, Tony Todd is in that. But Tony Todd was also in Deep Space Nine, where he played the role of an older Jake, and in an episode that brings tears to people's eyes. It's such a good episode, and it's all Tony Todd. And Candyman is the same way. I still to this day think that Candyman is the only killer that in a horror movie that you root for. I'm not talking about like Jason, Freddy, and all that. You root for them to kill the bad guys, but you don't root for them as humans. Candyman, you root for him as a human being. He's so sympathetic and so awesome. I love him so much, and I get to enjoy it again. So it's very awesome. I love Tony Todd, and that's all thanks to Tony Todd and the director and Clive Barker, of course. But like, Tony's the man, and he's given his blessing for the new Candyman. So which I wish people would stop calling it Jordan Peele's Candyman, because it isn't Jordan Peele's movie. Jordan Peele did not direct this movie. So please, if you love DC, please stop calling it Jordan Peele, because it's not. Give credit to the real director. Thank you. But anyway, Candyman all the way. Love it. So
thank you once again for joining us on our little channel of horrors. Thank you for joining us with Jaws, the movie that almost wasn't because of so many malfunctions, them going over budget, them going over. They were only allowed like 60 days to film this movie, by the way.
Over budget isn't over, is an understatement.
Yeah,
they went over budget by a lot.
And Steven Spielberg flat out even said this was probably the worst experience of his life and the best experience of his life. And this career it made his career.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was not the worst experience of your life. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It was freaking horrible. Come on, man.
But so on an ending note, we will literally say, like, be like Steven Spielberg and all them going through Jaws, where it seemed like such a horrible experience at the time, but what it became. And it also became the first movie that you had merchandise coming out at the same time as the film. So because of that, George Lucas came out with merchandise with Star Wars that came a couple years later. So in other words, with a happy moral note, don't give up. Believe in yourself.
And also, if you have a movie that the studio doesn't believe in, buy all the merchandising rights, and like George Lucas did, and be a fucking millionaire, because he got 100% of that, and he still gets a percentage of that, even though he doesn't even own Star Wars anymore. Like, he still gets a percentage of that. He is a genius, that man. And he's my uncle. Not really.
What? What? So you can follow us on, although DC's not really on his Twitter as much right now. But
I came back today.
Him on. Okay, good.
Yes.
Good boy. I haven't been on yet. I've been at work and other things. So come follow us. Follow me on my Twitter for Charcy Lux, or on my Instagram for Charcy87. I also have an OnlyFans. I guess if you want to follow me on that, you can too.
You get it.
And
you get
DC,
pictures.
where can they find you?
You can only find me on Twitter and Instagram. And I think it's Death Curse Pod on Twitter and Death Curse Podcast on Instagram. Everyone's, dude, I have so many people telling me to get a TikTok. I have so many people, like, and I'm like, I don't want a TikTok. I'm not a 13-year-old girl. I don't want to dance.
Oh, you're so mean.
I don't want to dance for music, man. And they're like, no, you just get on there and do all your impressions. And I'm just like, maybe one day when China doesn't own it, and if you ever, anyone who has a TikTok, right there. Anyone who has a TikTok,
your rights are owned by China.
Read the terms and conditions. They own you. They own everything. They can use your likeness for anything they want. So it was like, no, you ain't getting any of my information. They get your phone number. They get everything. Like, no.
That's the only reason why I don't have a TikTok as well. So.
They when we own TikTok, then I'll do it. So anyway, sorry TikTok.
Us. Keep following and liking us here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks once again for joining us.
Yeah. All right. How do you stop this thing?